What makes someone a murderer? This is a crucial question that Adolescence is asking of its audience. This British miniseries, like Baby Reindeer last year, is sweeping the internet by storm, rising to the top of Netflix's charts and becoming one of the most talked about series since it did. But what is really going on with Jamie in this series? Is he truly guilty of this crime that he has been accused of? Let's talk about Adolescence. Before I get too far into this video, I do want to let you guys know that this video is going to contain spoilers for this series, so if you have not watched the series yet and you don't want things spoiled for you, obviously you should come back after you have seen it. You'd have to be purposely trying to avoid social media at this point to not have heard about Adolescence. I know for me, every time I opened up my phone, I kept seeing mentions and references to this series, so it was really piquing my curiosity, and I am glad that I checked this show out because it is one of the most well-made shows I have seen in so long. I feel like I say that a lot, but TV really is getting better and better every year. This is a harrowing and gut-wrenching show that highlights a few different possibilities as to why Jamie did this crime. Adolescence tells the story of Jamie Miller, a 13-year-old boy who is accused of killing a fellow classmate named Katie. It reminded me right away of Defending Jacob, an excellent series, by the way, on Apple TV Plus that stars Chris Evans. But what makes Adolescence different than Defending Jacob is that this series, right off the bat, as soon as you're in this first episode, tells you that Jamie actually did this crime. I have to say, I was totally shocked and gutted when they revealed that he did do it, because I was believing everything he was saying. He was telling his dad, yeah, Dad, I didn't do it, I swear. He really was selling it, I thought. And so it really gutted me when they pulled out that security footage and showed that, damn, he actually did this crime. And the first thing the father asks when he sees this security footage is why? Why did you do something so heinous? And I think it's episode 3 where we finally get some pretty solid answers that really illuminate the possible reasoning behind it. In this episode, we see Jamie meeting with a court-appointed psychologist who is tasked with assessing Jamie's mental state and trying to come to a conclusion about him. It's an intense episode. It is very hard to watch at times, but yet it is a very informative episode. In this episode, we see that Jamie is prone to wildly swinging moods. He can be totally calm, talking like a normal kid, and then suddenly throwing a chair, throwing hot cocoa, just having a complete breakdown, which to me indicated that he was bipolar, but I am by no means a psychologist, so I can't really make that conclusion. But what was really clear to me in this episode is that Jamie was enjoying the way he made the psychologist feel so uncomfortable. He enjoyed that power that he had over her, which to me makes him come off as kind of a psycho, but again, I am not a psychologist, that's just my opinion. So was this nature or nurture? Did something happen in Jamie's life to make him turn out this way, or was he born this way? That's a question that I think this show really wants to ask the audience, and it's a very important question because it can really help illuminate just what's going on with people in the real world. We find out in the series and in this episode that Katie was bullying him, but in a very modern way that many adults could not pick up on. The officers that were combing through his Instagram saw all kinds of comments that were from her, but most of them were being communicated with emojis. They took this to mean that she was actually interested in him, that she was at least being friendly with him, that she liked him, but in fact, Jamie and other kids point out that these emojis are actually being used to bully him, which is something that people of a certain age group, including myself, are not going to be able to figure out. We just see a picture of a bean and we assume it's a bean, but that bean apparently can have so much more meaning to it. And that meaning, even though it doesn't mean much to us, it can mean a lot to somebody else. But I kind of think that he was using this bullying that he was experiencing to let out his inner darkness. And one of the most heartbreaking things about all of this is trying to watch the parents come up with reasons as to what made their son do this, trying to pinpoint where things went wrong and see if they are to blame for it. Like any parent, they are looking over their lives, trying to pinpoint the moments that they they might have contributed to making him snap this way. They really felt like this is on them. And when you think about every murderer out there in history, we don't really tend to think about the parents that much. We just think about the victims. We think about the people that were affected by this murder. But the parents, those are the people that also we need to be thinking about. Did they do something to make their kid turn out this way? Are they to blame? Is there more going on than we think? Something you guys may not know about me, I am actually a child of abuse. I had a pretty rough childhood and I got bullied plenty. When kids at my middle school found out I was gay, they did not make it easy for me, and I personally felt like I wasn't getting very much support when I went home. I was going home with all this turmoil, all this pain, and just so much anger. And there was times where I wanted to take things into my own hands to make these bullies stop messing with me, but I am not capable of that kind of darkness. Which proves that a kid can go through all these kind of things, can be bullied, can be abused, and not turn into a killer. So it's not always about nurture or circumstances. Sometimes it just comes down to being born a certain way. But this series really does highlight the extreme importance of checking on your kids and finding out what is going on with them, because they don't always tell you what is going on. Most kids, they don't tell you if they are being picked on. They are embarrassed about it. They don't feel like they can confide in their parents. And if you don't approach them and tell them how important it is that you are there for them and that you care about them, then they just might be harboring all kinds of feelings that could eventually lead to something tragic. One of the most important things I'm taking away from the show is to just be aware. And this isn't just for parents. This can be for friends. This can be for aunts and uncles. Be aware of the people in your life and ask questions. How is school going? Is it going all right? Are you feeling okay? How are you sleeping? What is going on? And letting them know that you care and that you're there for them. Because childhood is one of the most lonely and isolating parts of our lives. I'm sure by now many of you have heard that the episodes in this series were all filmed in a single take, and that is true. All these camera shots from the beginning of the episode continue all the way into the end of the episode, and it's truly remarkable some of the things that they are able to pull off. It makes me wonder how they did it, how they went from a drone shot, it looked like a drone shot, to suddenly being on the ground, to suddenly being outside of a car. It's just truly impressive. And just as impressive as those drone shots is the fact that since these scenes are all done in single takes, how did they do all these lines? Did the actors truly remember the entire conversation, or was there some kind of subtle way that they were giving the lines to the actors in small bits in ways that we wouldn't notice, but made it so that they didn't have to remember everything? Because I can tell you for sure, I can barely remember what my grocery list is when I get to the store. Hell, I can barely remember the talking points for these videos. So if these actors were really able to do all these scenes in one take from memory, damn, I am impressed. Every actor in this series does amazing work. There is so much raw emotion on display here, and it feels so real, especially with these continuous camera shots. Because it all feels like it's taking place in real time, it feels like you are watching a documentary. It's just insanely immersive. It pulls you in and it does not let go. And yes, it's true. Many of the actors in this series are first-time actors, including Owen Cooper, who plays Jamie in this series. That's right. This was his first time acting in anything. That is impressive because this kid knocked it out of the park. He sold Jamie so well. He makes you scared of him and yet still care about him all at the same time. Stephen Graham, who plays the father, also created and co-wrote this series with Jack Thorne. He delivers some truly powerful moments as well. You feel his pain as a father. You can see just how much this is all affecting him. This is a life-changing experience that no parent wants to feel, and you feel every bit of that when you are watching him on screen. He is just absolutely gutted to know that someone that he raised since he was a baby could grow up and do something so heinous. It has to feel like one of the worst nightmares any parent could ever face. This is a mini-series. There are only 4 episodes, so if you are in the mood for something that just feels so intense, so raw, then this is a great series. It's not going to take up too much of your time, and by the time you are done watching this show, you're going to feel changed. At least I hope so. I hope you come away from this series more mindful to the people in your life and deciding that you want to check on people more often. Because oftentimes people are just hiding their pain until it's too late, and all they really needed was just a conversation with somebody to let them know that, hey, I am here for you, I am aware of your life, and I value you. For me, this series is a 10 out of 10. It is just a remarkable series that I think is going to stick with me for quite some time. That's my thoughts on this series. Did you guys see this series? Put your thoughts on the series in the comments if you did see it. And if you liked this video, please hit the like button to let me know that you liked it. And if you want to hear more things from me, subscribe to this channel. Later.